I've been doing a lot of soul searching the past couple of weeks, trying to figure out my word for the year, my scripture for the year, how I'm going to serve Jesus this year, what he's calling me to this year. I think a lot of us probably have. I see a lot of us picking up our Bibles, heading back to another semester of Bible study, getting ready to press into the Lord and lean into him. And you know, God has just been a little silent with what my word for the year is. There's something he sort of keeps stirring in me, but it's not exactly clear. And I've been doing a lot of reading of scripture, a lot of praying, and I've been watching some Christian movies and just trying to really listen to the voice of God. And I was watching this particular movie the other night, and it was a remake, if you will, about the prodigal son. And in this movie, it starts out and you see the father and the son, and they're on this island, and the father is playing a violin and the son is smiling. He's this little boy. And then the father gives him a violin and they begin to play this beautiful music together, and he grows up and he becomes a man. But within sight of this island, there's a huge stretch of sea, and then there's this other mysterious island off in the distance. And as the movie unfolds and he's with his father and many others on this beautiful island, the pull of that island just keeps grabbing at him, and it keeps catching his eye. And what we eventually see is this man drops his violin and decides to jump off the cliff into the raging sea to go see what is on this island. And when he gets there, he sees this beautiful woman, and she catches his eye, and she begins running off into the island, and he runs after her, and eventually he catches her and he envelops her in his arms, and they have this moment of passion. And then the woman becomes a leper. And the man is so horrified and disgusted that he tries to find his way back to the edge of this mysterious island. He finds this raft. He jumps on the raft. He's rowing and rowing for dear life, trying to get back to the father, only to exhaust himself, wear himself out. He falls off the raft, falls into the sea, and somehow ends up back on the shore unconscious. And then the next scene is we see someone, we don't know who it is, dragging this man off. And then we find him in the darkness of this cave. And he is beaten, and he is bludgeoned, and he is chained in this cave, and he is hopeless. And in his great hopelessness, he begins to bang his head against the rocks of this cave because he can't do anything else, and the blood is just pouring down his face, and he's weary. And the scene flashes back, and we see the father in full fury coming after this son that has been chained in this cave, ready to rescue him. And the father gets to the outside of the cave, and he has this huge hammer, and he just begins hammering away at the cave until he makes an opening, and he enters the cave to rescue his son. And it's such a profound picture of God's love for us and the gospel. But this is the moment where the whole movie just wrecks me. Because in this moment, I find something that just shattered my heart. Because what happens is the father enters the cave, and he finds the son, and he rescues the son, and he's holding the son, and they're weeping, and he raises the son to his feet. And the son has been sitting in complete darkness in this cave, so he has no idea who else is in the cave with him. But now that the father has pierced this hole through the cave to enter to rescue the son, there is just enough light that the son is able to make out who else is within the cave. And the father takes the son's bloody and bruised, broken face, and he turns the son's face, and the son sees for the first time that the cave is full of other chained people. And in that moment, I'm on the edge of my seat, because here's what I am so hoping is going to happen in that moment. In that moment, what I am so hoping is going to happen is that the father is going to gently nudge the son and send him over to unchain all of these other people in the cave, or at least hold out his hand to offer for them to go with him. But that's not what happens. He shows him all of these people, and you can't even see their faces. You can't even tell if they're seeing the rescue of this son, or they're so dejected, they don't even know what's going on around them, or they're so tormented by the light because they've been in such darkness for so long, they can't even open their eyes. You don't even know. All you see is these hazy figures of all these other people in chains. And what happens next is the father just takes the son and they walk out. And there's no attempt to engage with any of the people in chains. And the message becomes, you're not alone in your sin. You're not alone in your chains. You're not alone in what ails you. You're not alone in your hurt. And that is such a message of relief to us, isn't it? But that scene is one of the most unchristian messages that we keep hearing over and over and over. Because here's the thing, as I sat there with the tears rolling down my face, watching this scene, I said, Jesus, if you were in that cave, I believe you would have held out your hand. Not just to me, but to all of us sitting in the cave. I mean, that's the gospel message, isn't it? And the gospel message is that if I've been freed, if I don't have my chains on anymore, I'm supposed to go walk up to all the people who are still in chains, and I'm supposed to say, look, I'm free. I'm free because of my Father. You can be free too. And I realized the most unchristian message that we keep preaching over and over and over is that our salvation is all about us. And Jesus is all about me, and it's all about me and my freedom, and it's all about me and my sanctification, and it's all about me and my joy and my peace. And meanwhile, everybody around me is still sitting in chains. But I'm so focused on myself and on my own sanctification and on my own spiritual journey and on my own making sure I get back to the right island and sit and abide in the presence of Jesus. I don't worry about anybody else still sitting in chains. And I don't share this to shame anybody. I'm just telling you what Jesus is convicting me of in my own life. I have a next door neighbor that moved in 2 years ago. We have been trying to get together for 2 years. And you know what? It hasn't happened. And you know why? Because I'm too busy. Because I'm too busy with all my projects, and I'm too consumed with my own relationship with Jesus. I haven't made time. I haven't been intentional. And for most of us, the reality is we are surrounded by people in chains. And we haven't held out our hand that's been set free. And the church keeps preaching the message that we've got to focus on ourselves. We've got to worry about ourselves. We've got to think about our own sanctification. And it's killing our faith because we've been set free to be sent. We've been set free to go show people our unchained hands and hearts, but instead we keep running to Bible study, we keep doing all the things, we keep checking all the boxes, but nothing changes. And our hearts don't break for everyone around us who's sitting in darkness and chains. And until it does, believers, we will continue to be lured by an island that promises satisfaction, because the thing that is meant to give us the most satisfaction is our relationship with God and sharing him with the world. That's why we're here. And as long as we keep looking for all these other purposes, we're going to be lured by an island. So here's the thing. Here's the word God is giving me. The word is reach. And it's not like reach so that I can achieve all the goals that I've set for myself in 2022 and strategize how I'm going to make that all happen. The word is simply reach. Reach out. Reach out to that neighbor that I've been putting off. Reach out to that coworker who needs to see Jesus in me because I've taken the time with no agenda other than to get to know her. Listen, the early disciples, they struggled with this whole same thing. Jesus told them, the last thing he told them in Acts 1:8 was like, you're going to be my witnesses right here in Jerusalem, but in Judea, Samaria, to the ends of the earth. And for years, the disciples just sat in Jerusalem until finally God was like, all right, look, I'm going to send Philip up to Samaria. I'm going to start a revival. And then I'm going to send you up there to witness it. And then maybe you'll finally get it that you're my messengers. So here's the real question in 2022. Will your faith thrive because you'll live a life on mission? The gospel will not perish from the earth until Jesus returns. It will not. God will always raise somebody up to go and start revival, to go and share the good news of Jesus. He will find a Philip. The question for 2022 is will it be you and will it be me? I pray so, because whom the Son sets free will be free indeed. Happy New Year.